Hi everybody, I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all are having a great day today. So today I just wanted to jump right into it and talk about abundance. So let's talk about abundance. What is abundance? What if we don't see abundance? How is abundance always multiplying? So we're just going to go into it and just talk about abundance, see what comes out, and just get into it. So today I walked around my garden and I saw so much abundance. I have quite a bit of fruit trees and a vegetable garden that I put in. So I wanted to give y'all a tour. So stay tuned till the end of this video so you get a tour of that and you can see some of the abundance. So abundance is something that is just inherent to our universe, something that's just part of it, something that is part of what is the nature of our universe. Because our universe is infinite, it goes hand in hand with abundance. For this universe to be infinite and constantly changing, evolving, and there's just infinite amounts of possibilities for it, there has to be abundance, because infinity is abundance. So this is all coming from nothingness. Our whole universe is nothing, nothingness, no thing, and it's being everything at the same time. So it's seamlessly both. Basically, there is a void, there is a space, and from that, everything comes. What you are is not what you think you are. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, I would recommend looking into non-duality or some of my older content. I will unlock some of those videos for y'all so you can read or look into them. But the nature of our universe is literally that nothing is turning into everything. So the reason that everything is so abundant and so infinite that it could literally be everything is because it's actually not using real resources. It's using nothingness. So everything's just appearing from that. It's using your attention, your imagination. It's using you. So your awareness, your consciousness to create all of this. So everything and anything that you imagine is in existence somewhere in this reality, and there's just so much more than that. So because everything just comes from nothingness, that gives way for anything in imagination to be real. Anything like money or something that you desire to have is an infinite abundance currently in this reality, and you can have an infinite amount of it as well, so it's not something that runs out. Even positions, jobs, houses, cars, anything like that. Sometimes we think this is the only house for me, or I have to buy this right now, or I'm never going to have it again, or whatever, something like that. Well, it's not really true. There is many versions of that house. There are many possibilities to obtain that house again later anywhere. If anything, if you've noticed in your own life, a lot of times when we get rid of something, either we have to give something away because maybe we're moving or we can't keep that item right now, but we really wanted it to keep it. We really mourn losing that item, thinking that like we're never going to have that item again, thinking it's so special. And if you look back on your past, like I've noticed that most of the times I've given up an item of some kind, or something has left my life, something way greater comes in later. Or if not, it comes back. Like that same item will come back one way or another. So you will find that item in a thrift store, or someone will gift you that item back, or you'll just see that item all over again. And maybe it won't be that same item, but it won't be like that same exact item that you had before, but it'll be a new item and you can purchase that one. But I found that the majority of times I get something way better after giving up something. So it's not like there is just this limited amount of things and that is it. No, everything just keeps going in life. We think things are the end and we catastrophize things, and have this mindset sometimes of just the worst happening, and that's it, and there's only this, and that's the only time this is ever going to happen. This is the only person for me. That's not true. There is many other people. There are many other situations. There are many other wonderful journeys and things that you can get involved in. So when a door closes, it's actually giving way for more abundance and more space for anything else to come. So it's not so bad. But regardless of that, when you do give way for something else, just realize that even if you did want that same item back, you can have it back. There is infinite number of anything in this universe, and so there's really no competition really either. Your only competition really is with yourself. So if you're wanting to obtain, or you're having a bit of jealousy over something that someone else has, wanting what they want, or wanting to be have something that they have, or have their job or their family or the lifestyle or something like that, well, you can actually have that for yourself. That is something for you. So you don't have to take anything from anybody else. You don't have to steal. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to take anything from anyone else. What they have is what they have. You have the possibility, and so do they, but you have the possibility to have anything that you want in your existence, because what this universe is abundant. So everything that you're maybe jealous of that person has, go into your heart and examine that. If that is something actually you're jealous of because you want, then all you have to do is get into alignment with that and realize, actually, I'm jealous of that because that's what I want for myself, or I feel I deserve that, or I feel I want that for myself. That's okay. These desires come up just like automatic thoughts. Sometimes we get negative thoughts, or thoughts outside of our personality or what we think that we are, and that's okay. That's just a sign to you that you have a desire, So when you have jealousy, yeah, it's not the best emotion to have, but when you have it, use it as a tool to see what it is that you're missing. Why are you jealous? What are you missing that you're feeling like you should have and that they have it and you don't? Anything that they have, you can have, and they can have it too. You don't have to take anything from them. You don't have to do anything about them. You only have to worry about yourself. So everything is happening through you. So maybe you seeing that you're being jealous over whatever something else is happening outside of you, it's just a sign to you to pay more attention to what it is that you want and make sure that you're aligned correctly to it, meaning only that, are you recognizing that you have the possibility of having that yourself, and you don't have to take, you don't have to steal, you don't even have to be jealous. You just have to recognize your desire and feel it, and if that's what you want, align with it and have it. So the universe is always in a mode of saying yes. The universe wants to say yes to you, wants to say yes to your desires. It's not stingy. It's not saying, oh, you have to do this before you have that, or there's only so much of this, and oh, when this person stops using that, then you can have this. There's no sharing here. There's no having to work things out like that. Everything is handed to you. It's ready for you. It's just that you have to decide that. You have to claim that for yourself. And when you claim that, then the universe begins to work for you. Everything's working for you. But you have to make the decisions. You have to give it direction with your attention, with your imagination, with your energy. That's how the universe knows what you want. It knows what you want by all the steps I've given you. Imagining, dreaming, speaking it, putting your attention on it, visualizing it, maybe even doing vision boards and affirmations if you need to. And then giving it love and taking the next step that comes up for you. So love is very important in this. You have to love what you want. You have to love what you desire, and you have to have a loving relationship with it. So you can't want something but hate it at the same time. You can't want to have a mansion but then talk about that people that have big houses can't clean them, or people that have big houses have to hire all these people and it's a pain in the butt. And you can't have this desire of being rich and then think that money is the root of all evil. You have to look at that relationship and make sure that it's a loving one. If it's a loving one all around, then everything will come to you. It will just come to you. It will chase you down. You don't have to do anything about it. It is easy. This is very easy. So that is just a little bit about abundance, but I want you to start looking at abundance around you. Sometimes we don't see abundance, or abundance just doesn't seem like it's really there. So look around you. For one, we have oxygen that's abundant to us at all times. We have trees that create oxygen and clean the air for us. We have plants that are growing that we could potentially eat. We can plant seeds and grow gardens, and there's trees that some of them bear fruits and nuts, and you know, there's just so much abundance just in nature itself. There's all kinds of animals that we can own, or we can, you know, hunt, and there's just everything is already here in nature. Everything is in abundance. For us that live in the U.S., if you live in the U.S., you are very lucky, and most people in the world now at this time, at this age of that world, we are at a place where most people have shelter, have a place to live, a home. They have food every day. They have at least 1 or 2 meals per day. They have clothing. They have a way to clean themselves, and all of these things. So that's very abundant, you know. In the United States, most people drive cars. Most people have jobs that can pay for their living expenses and more. So all of these things are abundance. Do you see how much abundance is in the universe at this time? There is so much abundance, and it's never ending. It's always transforming into different things. So if you can't see abundance, start to look at abundance in the small things. Like I say, the oxygen that we breathe. Let's say it rains that day, the rain we get that day for the plants and, you know, animals to drink. Sometimes literally it's very hard to see abundance, and I hear from some people, sometimes when I used to speak about non-duality, they would go a little bit too far into like, okay, well, what about, you know, situations where people are starving, or there's war and this and that? Well, okay, let's explore that a little bit. I can explain that to y'all if you'll want in a different video of how that is, why that's happening. But we don't need to go into why it's happening at this moment. Let's try to look for abundance there. So let's say an area that maybe is... everybody there is starving. Let's talk about an area that is very barren, that is very dry. So there's just nothing grows. Maybe in Africa somewhere. So let's talk about that. You know, an area where people are living and they literally cannot see abundance because there's nothing that can be grown. There's no food coming to them. Nothing is happening in these areas. Well, there is still abundance there. There is still oxygen there. And for whatever reason, maybe there's no food. It doesn't appear to be any food. But you have to put into consideration that the people that live there are still alive. So somehow they're being nourished every day to still have food. So that's one thing. The other thing is there is areas that are experiencing what you would say is lack when you look at it from the outside. But there's a lot of things that we can't see. Over there in those areas, there's no telling really what can happen or where the abundance is hidden. So there is abundance everywhere. It's not missing that area. It is there. And so, for example, there was a movie, and it's on Netflix. It's called The Boy That Harnessed the Wind. And this boy, he was living in an area like that in Africa. And so the movie kind of starts with a sparrow that flies over where he's playing. And I think somebody catches it. I don't know if it was him or somebody, but they catch the sparrow and they're all fighting over it. And I was kind of confused. I was like, what is going on? And come to find out, they were going to eat that sparrow. That was their food for the day. That was literally like all the food that they had. They had no way to grow anything. Nobody was bringing them food. They didn't have any way to grow anything because it was so dry there. So these sparrows are like their food. So when a sparrow comes and they catch it, there might be very little meat on there, but that's what they eat, and that's what they were surviving on. So they were fighting over this sparrow to have that food. Now that kind of seems like lack, but for us that we see all these birds flying all over the place all the time, think about that. You know, that's food. If we ever really needed to eat food, if everything was so dry that we couldn't grow any, you know, fruits or vegetables, a bird that has food for us. So that's abundance. But anyhow, in this movie, that was very scarce. You know, they didn't really have that many birds because there was no water or reason for the bird to even be in that area. So so what the boy did, and I wanted to tap into this a little bit more, is that it appears everything is just, there's nothing. Well, this boy, he had a mindset of there is a possibility, there is a way. That was his mindset. And this boy, at however old you're, 10 years old or so, he had to struggle quite a bit. You may want to watch the movie. I don't want to spoil it all for you, but he had other struggles. I'm just kind of telling you what happened, but he had to struggle quite a bit to figure things out. But he went to a library and he saw a book about solar power. So he was going to use the solar power to power the irrigation system that would give water to a garden or, some farmland that they were going to put in. They had tried farming many times in the past and it hadn't worked. So basically this is what he was doing, and he put in his imagination, just by looking at that book, that he had the sun, he knew of a junkyard that he could go to look for parts to build some of this. And he had seen one of these little solar things that create the power on his sister's boyfriend's bicycle. He had like an electric type bike or something, a solar powered bike. So he knew that he could get these items, and he didn't know like a whole lot about how to put it together or what, but he was going to use that book. He was going to find resources, get more information, and he knew that he was going to create something that would produce water that in turn would produce food and nourishment and abundance for his family and village. And what did he do? He did just that. And I really recommend y'all watch that movie, because it's not easy. I mean, it's not like things just manifest where you don't have to take any steps. The steps will show up for you. You will see them and you will have to take them. And some of them won't be easy, and some of them you'll come up against trouble. But it's a challenge. It's problem solving. It's when you get a little bit of insight, you move a little bit more further. You get more passion. You get more excitement behind it to get you to keep going. By the time you're done with this, he had created solar power to create energy that would produce, that would get the water coming from a pump to irrigate all the land and create, water that would nourish the plants and vegetables and stuff that they would grow. And he did that, and then they began to have abundance. So abundance was there. It wasn't like it was in plain sight, but it was there. And it all starts with an insight. It all starts with a passion. It all starts with the spark. It all starts with the imagination. It all starts with desire. All of these components can start the manifestation, okay? And then from that comes abundance. You just follow it, and at the end of it is always abundance, is always growth, is always evolution. It's never going backwards. You're always going forwards. You're always getting more and more. So that's just the nature of things. So I just wanted to point that out to you, that even when you can't see abundance, when it really looks so barren and dry, and literally you're fighting over a sparrow just to eat, there's abundance there. But you have to see it. You have to know it. You have to know that it's possible. Even in the driest, most barren land, know that there is a possibility that you will create abundance, that you will have abundance, that the nature of this reality is to give you abundance, is to nourish you and take care of you. When you have that attitude, when you have that vision, nothing can stop you from having abundance. So open up your mind to that abundance is everywhere. Even when you don't see it, it's there. It might be hidden under some things. It might be, you might need to use your brain power. But it's there. It's there. Abundance is there. I mean, I even think about food, how we cook food. I was talking to my husband the other night about how I think we're the only species that actually cooks food and prepares it in just all of these magnificent and different ways. And how did we learn to cook all these foods and prepare them all these ways? And they're all delicious. I love food from all cultures. I like, Indian food, Mexican food, Chinese, all of these foods. They're just so good. Well, all of these people had to take what they had, which is the same stuff that we have, or some of it's whatever grows in their area, and they had to create. They had to use imagination. They had to dream up beautiful, wonderful dishes. And what happened? They did, and they exist. We have a friend of ours that was talking about a dish that his wife makes that she grew up eating, and they're actually these wild type weeds that grow in Texas, and I don't know what they're called right now, but The way that he described it was, there are these weeds that grow in Texas, and you pick them, and if you were to eat them raw, you literally die. They're poisonous. But if you boil them, I think he said like 3 times, and strain them and drain the water out of them and all of this stuff, he says they taste like wonderful, like these greens that are just so delicious. But how did somebody figure that out? You know, you could be living in an area where almost everything that grows is poisonous. So everything looks like it's so so negative, so full of lack, and just nothing's there. Like everything you touch is going to hurt you or kill you. It may be a situation like that where you have things growing, but they're not good for you. Well, who's to say, you know, what will happen if you cook those? Who's to say if there's a special way to prepare them? You know, behind all of that poison, behind all of that, what seems to be lack, there is abundance. And from what this man describes about these greens that his wife prepares, they sound amazing, and they sound like a lot of work to do, but they sound more amazing than just like eating lettuce or something like that. So you could have something really wonderful right there in front of you and not really even know it, unless you open your mind to it and believe that, hey, maybe there's a possibility that what grows here could actually be good. I just need to learn how to prepare it. I need to learn what this does, or how it works. I need to experiment with this. I need to try something. So take the first step, pick those weeds, and decide what comes next. That's how things manifest. That's how things happen. That's how we learn, you know, how to prepare things. I mean, there's many other foods that have turned out to be that have started out to be poisonous and turned out to be really delicious, and actually things that we eat. I've heard that of cashews, I've heard that of potatoes, and just different things that people talk about. And then there's so many medicinal type plants that could really hurt people and could be very dangerous, but at the same time could be very, very healing. So you have to realize there's 2 sides to the coin, but at the same time, that coin always in every situation is nothingness and everything. So you can also translate that into the synonyms of like lack and abundance. I mean, it's always the same sort of thing, but there is always abundance. Abundance is what is the true reality, which is because it's infinite, that you need those. It's to be infinite, there has to be abundance. You can't separate that. That is together. That's the same thing with nothingness and everything. You can't separate them. They're together. They're working seamlessly together. Okay, so that's how that's working. Just like that plant is both poisonous and delicious and nourishing. That's how the nature of our reality is. It's what side of the coin are you living on? What side of the coin are you paying attention to? Are you on the negative side of lack? Or are you the positive side of abundance? How do you talk? Are you talking in verbiage and language that's more on the side of lack? Are you always talking about, oh, we don't have very much, or our house is very small, or our house is very old, or we don't have nice things? Or are you on the side of abundance, of saying we have shelter, we have a car, we have this, we're grateful that we have food on the table, we're grateful that we have a small house because one day we're going to have a big house, or we really love this house. So, you know, what side of the coin are you on? Are you on the glass half full or half empty? You know, that's why I talk about a lot of the things that I'm talking about here. You don't have to have an awakening. You don't even have to really understand this. You just have to understand that life is colored by your perspective of it. So if you have a negative perspective of life, it's going to be a negative life. If you have a positive perspective of life, it's going to be a positive life. So which side do you want to be on? It's that simple. And so you don't even need to know anything about law of attraction or law of abundance or non-duality or anything. You can just decide, I'm going to have a positive mindset, and that'll take care of a lot of things. But anyhow, I just wanted to share a little conversation around abundance. Now I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to show you a little bit of my garden and the fruit trees and stuff around here, and just show you a little tour of abundance for you to see. I'll go ahead and talk during it too and do a little bit of a narrative, because I wanted to really show you abundance just around the area that you live. So I'm going to show you around where I live. Alright everybody, so this is the first tree. This is a nectarine tree. I think I got this tree over the summer. So, and it was a little bit smaller than this, and it has a ton of nectarines on it already. And this is a brand new little tree. So I'm going to see if my camera will focus on some of those nectarines. And sometimes the squirrels will still get in here. We do have a dog named Blue, and I put him on our community page if you want to take a look at his picture. But he sometimes appears in these outdoor videos because he's always outside. And so, oh, it looks like one of the nectarines fell down. But you see, like when they fall down and they're like this, they're a little, I think it was sitting in the water or something, it rained. I can give this to the horses or the cows, and they love this. So this is a free treat for my horses or cows. That's abundance. And if we count on here how many nectarines we have, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 nectarines right now. So that's probably what we'll have. But that's good, you know. Nectarines are one of our favorite fruit. So now we're going to move over here. And this tree here, I believe, is a pear tree. And the pear tree, it's got pears, you know, in there. There's one. There's not very many on the pear tree. Maybe we zoom out a little bit. Yeah, they're on the ends of the leaves, but they're really blending in there. Oh, I see a bunch. Actually, yeah, there's a bunch on the top. So it's really hard to see, but there are a bunch up there. I can already count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pears. So let's move on over here. I believe this is another pear tree, but this one's kind of struggling. I believe it got struck by lightning. So if you kind of look at the tree, half of it's alive, half of it's dead. But we're gonna keep it like that. Alright, so now we're going to move on over here. There's a tractor. This is some greenery I film in front of sometimes. And here's the garden. So the garden is doing really good. We've already been eating on it for a few weeks. So every meal we eat, we have food from the garden. And our snacks and stuff are also around the garden. So we've been eating green beans. We had Asian green beans, Italian green beans, bacon green beans, just fried green beans. So we've been eating on green beans. That has been our main producer so far this year. Usually it's the squash and the zucchini, but not so much this year. It's been more green beans. But our yellow squash, we've been making sweet yellow squash. We've been just pan frying it, grilling it. Same thing with the zucchini. Sometimes we'll do like Italian dressings, different seasonings with it. And that's always a side. Sometimes we'll do salads. What else are we eating? So we're growing also here. Let me get a little closer so you can see. Pumpkins. That's a pumpkin there. We do pumpkin pies every year. We usually make pumpkin pie in the summer, but then we save our pumpkins for fall. And our pumpkins, we make about, I don't know, maybe 8 pumpkin pies. We got a lot of water. So you can see maybe one in there. So some of them are kind of yellow. Those might get hard and not make it. We got way too much water this year. All right, let's see what's in here. And so if you can see, I might have to move the camera around a little bit. There's a big old zucchini. I don't think we can even really see it unless maybe it's just the sun. I can't see it. Maybe you guys can see it. But there is a big old zucchini, if I can get it out. So there's a big old zucchini. Okay. So that's abundance there. Trying to see if there's anything else over here. We like Asian zucchinis. We got snap peas back there. We do have a lot of weeds. We're always very busy. You know, my husband and I have full-time jobs. We have a daughter, she's in activities and things, so we we do what we can. We can't weed the garden all the time, but these are the snap peas. We got all kinds of tomatoes. We got little tomatoes, like cherry tomatoes. We got jalapenos, more tomatoes. We've been doing fried green tomatoes as a snack with ranch. We've been doing stuffed jalapenos with the jalapenos. We have habaneros that haven't come out yet. We have bell peppers. We got lots of peppers. And these are like the little cherry tomatoes. They're still pretty green though. We haven't, well, we have had some cherry tomatoes. We have those with ranch. I made a green tomato pie over the weekend. I made 2 of those. Basically, they're green tomatoes and you slice them up and you put sugar, cinnamon, and a little bit of cornstarch, and you bake them in a pie just like an apple pie, and they taste just like an apple pie. So those are our tomatoes. We have a lot of tomatoes. There's more bell peppers back there. We picked those. Actually, my husband actually just picked the garden today, unfortunately, but otherwise I'd have a little bit more to show you. But these are all radishes and onions. So we have a lot of onions. We have cucumbers. So all of this is abundance, and this was all done with just a little bit of seeds, you know. So all of this is here and it's free basically. I mean, we haven't really had to water this thing because it's been raining so much. So that is the garden, and that's something that's just abundant on its own. Yes, some years will be better than others, but generally the garden is very abundant. It usually feeds our family of 3 all the time, all summer long, and then we can freeze and can things. And it also feeds people at our church and people at our workplace because we give away a lot of it. All right, I'm going to turn around here and I'm going to walk to these fruit trees just to show you a little bit about abundance here. So this is another nectarine tree that we got over the summer, and it's so full of nectarines. This one's got to have maybe 20 or 30 nectarines on it, you know. So there's a ton of nectarines on that tree. So you can just get yourself a tree over the summer like this, plant it somewhere around your home, and you'll have lots of fruit. But you know what? The other thing is, we live in the United States. We have grocery stores that are abundant with so much fruits and vegetables from all over the country, other countries. So we have all of these peaches. This is from a peach tree. This peach tree is kind of young, but it's producing so many peaches. And with the peaches, we make peach salsa, peach ice cream. What else? Peach cobbler. What else do we make with it? Lots of peaches. You see all of those peaches on that one branch? So you can kind of see how abundant nature is in itself. And let's see if we go down this way. We do have strawberry plants, but they haven't had any strawberries yet. This is a fig bush or tree, and you can begin to see there's figs all in there. Lots of figs. Of course, they're not ready yet, but there's lots of figs to come. And so I could keep showing you and showing you different things, but what you can see here is just nature is abundant, but so is everything else. Even our world is abundant. Technology has come so far. We don't just depend on the land, but we can. And if we do, that is very abundant in itself. But abundance is so abundant that you can go to a grocery store and see like all of these peaches just in a big bin for sale. You know, there's just, everything's already there for you. You can order groceries just to come straight to your house. I mean, it's amazing the abundance that we currently have. Anyway, I think maybe next time I'll show you a video more in the backyard of some stuff back there. I do some beekeeping, and I think maybe I can show you some abundance with that. So stay tuned for the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and pay attention to the abundance in your life. I bet you have a lot of abundance in your life. Thanks for watching.